Yeah, there
There
you
you
go.
go. Now, okay. So I'm a perpetual student of life, Nkonzo, because fortunately, life doesn't leave you alone. It always gives you a new exercise book. When you pass standard 5, it gives you the standard 6 textbooks to read. So I am a perpetual student of up leveling in terms of emotional intelligence and in terms of just reading on the subjects that interest me. So Nkonzo knows me from the Property Magicians group, but I actually am a wealthy money student. I'm in another secret group where we talk about emotional intelligence and money, and you see all sorts of things. You may think you have passed your degrees, but you find that there are things in you that still need to mature and grow. And for me, that is like my everyday. All right. And then when I talk about property, I didn't just start buying a property. Yeah, already I had a primary property, but for me to be able to buy property 2 and property 3 and to fail and to buy again has been because I sit on every profile of people who talk about property, right? I follow about 4 property podcasts. I listen to one YouTube podcast. I'll share them with you. And everywhere in my house, you can ask my 10-year-old daughter, there is a property magazine, there is a property book somewhere, because the perpetual learning doesn't stop. As you fail, you do some more and you read some more and you course correct and then you get back on track. Let's talk a little about COVID-19. It's a sad time. It's a sad.
Yep.
Yeah, okay. So we are back on. So let's talk about COVID-19 in terms of health. I happen to be a medical doctor as well. So I work in digital health, which is such a revelation for me, that how we can use telemedicine during COVID-19. I consult for everyone all over the country. I can speak to a patient anywhere, on the phone, on VoIP, on a device that looks like Skype, and it's great. And in terms of property, what does it do? It gives us an opportunity as property investors, because there's going to be blood on the floor, I promise you. So there's going to be a Black Friday of property sales, right? And I thought we've been talking on and off about it with Nkonzo, that gosh, we wish we had R1 billion to go and save all those properties and buy property at a discount. So it presents a major health challenge, a major challenge for the economy. But rest assured, this crisis is gonna pass. I was here in 2008. I was ready to come back from the Middle East. The property sector had taken a beating, a major, major pounding. People lost their properties, or the value of the property was downgraded to less than 30% of what they owned, but it always swings back. That's the nice thing about property. So I'm going to leave it there just so that we can carry on with the presentation. We will have I hope we'll have some time for questions. Anyway,
Yes,
let's
yeah.
go, Nkonzo.
Let's see how it goes. We are on the free version of Zoom, so we might be cut off at 40 minutes. But I will just request that everyone else joins back once we are off. Yeah, everyone else just joins back with the same password and the same meeting ID and email. But let's continue. We'll see that if we've got any questions. But if anyone wants to ask questions as we go on, you can just go on the chat and put a message there. Then we see if we can address. We're not going to address all of them. There's some people that have that sent questions through Facebook. We'll try and touch on those today. So I don't see all of them here, but maybe they've joined with different names. For instance, Mzuvugile, Boto, Tsediso, and Mulalo. They wanted to know, how can one start a property business without money? So I was thinking that maybe let's start with what people have already, because every one of us has got a kind of a shelter that we are living in. Is there anything that we can do with the spaces that we have now to start making money in properties, Mizo?
Absolutely, absolutely, Nkonzo. Such a good question. I saw one of them on Facebook. Such a good question. That's the only thing we can start with. Aniti Tina, we are not children of trust funds, right? None of us got a trust fund. Maybe a few. I don't know about you guys. Anyway, so if you are not a trust fund baby, you gotta make a plan. And here's my plan. Here's what I talk about. Nkonzo, you didn't have the slides that you can put up for them.
You want me to put up the slides? Okay.
Yeah, I want slide number 3 on house hacking.
Okay.
Let's talk about house hacking.
Yes.
Yeah.
I will get the slides. You can go ahead in the meantime.
Okay, sure. So house hacking. House hacking is a wonderful word and people use it. And, you know, I think it's an American word. Let's use what you have right now. I think we make too much ado about privacy. I don't know about you guys, but Mina, I grew up in my grandmother's house where my cousins from 3 different homes, we would all be congregated at Mama's house and we would all be sleeping under the table in the other bedroom and the other bedroom, including the dining room, right? That's all there was. There was no sitting room. There was just dining room. Now, in house hacking, there are just several things that you can do. In your parents' house right now, there's a 2-room and a garage. And the other room, you all use it as a storeroom. And some of us, we had a 2-room and garage at home as well. I come from Orlando East, and we always had a tenant. I remember that when the tenant would pay 700 rands to my mother, she would send me off to the bank to go and deposit at Standard Bank for my sister who was Ongo at the University of Zululand. 2-room and garage is exactly what house hacking is about. If you turn that room and you put in a shower and a toilet, you already have turned it into a bachelor flat. You can even demand more than what my mother is demanding right now, right? You can have a rental of about 3,000, 2,500, even in the township that you are in. Remember at university, those who did go to university and stay and live on campus, there was at one time or another where you shared a room with someone. Some students wouldn't have enough money to pay for residence, and students house hack all the time. You are already making money from the other student. He pays you 500 for sleeping on a sponge in the same room that you sleep. You share the study desk, and she's got a bathroom or something like that. There are people who live in 3-bedroom apartments in Braamfontein, close to UJ, and the 2 other rooms are hardly ever used. That's your storeroom, that's where you gym or where you do something else. How about you share that with a student? And the student, if the NSFAS is paying for them, you can get 3,500. Some people get 3,800, I believe. You are already house hacking. We're talking about the strategies that you have now. Those of you who are lucky to live in suburbs, right? You have got a house. And in that house, there's a cottage that is sitting there, again, used as a storeroom. Look for a tenant. You can start earning some 5,500 from that cottage. And I'm talking about this particular one, that before you move to the suburbs, let's think carefully actually about how we're going to buy that house. Now we are not going to buy houses, just beautiful 3-bedroom, 2.5 bathroom, double garage, beautiful garden, and a swimming pool. Please, when you search for that house, search for one that has got a cottage. Think about income in the meantime. If you're going to buy a 2 million rent house and you've got a tenant at Parkmore, some suburb, where there is a cottage, you can demand rents of 7,500 to 8,000. Already, your bond is cut by half by having a tenant in the yard. Let's stop. Let's not have these issues about, oh, but I like my own space. oh, but I don't want other people in my yard. If we are going to build wealth, house hacking is one of those absolute beautiful methods of don't go anywhere else, don't do anything else. I was speaking about this in the week, about how one of my friends has done house hacking. It was very funny. He didn't own the house. He lived in a 3-bedroom house. He decided to house hack. He's an engineer, and he decided to rent out the other 2 bedrooms after speaking to the landlord. What did he do? So he applied to the landlord to be a subletter, right? So he was paying 6,000 rents. And then in the other rooms, he put in two more tenants, and these tenants paid him 4,000 each. So that meant he was living for free, and he even had an extra 2,000 rent. Now, as he was getting bolder, he even rented out the very bedroom that he used to sleep in and went and slept in the lounge. And now he had an extra 8,000 rand as an extra income. And what did that allow him to do? He could save, and he actually ended up buying that house. So that is house hacking. And house hacking is nice in that you do with what you have at the time that you have it. Have I asked you to go and buy anything? Have I asked you about your bank account? Have I asked you about how much you have in the bank? None of that. But you already have extra income. Can we just live for free? At least if you can't do anything right now, your 15,000 per month salary doesn't allow you to buy a property. Can you at least live for free and free up some money and start saving? Have I answered that question, Nkonzo?
Thank you, Mizo. In fact, that's where I started. I'm glad that you referred to the example of being a student. When I was at university, I shared my room with 2 other students, and that's where I made my first money. I did not even know that I was a property at the time, but that's where I made my.
You didn't know you were house hacking. We did that as well at medical school. We had kids who came from Northwest and whatever.
Okay. Can I request that we all mute ourselves? We can keep the videos on at the meantime, because it looks like the network is stable. But let's just mute ourselves so that we don't get the noise from the background.
Okay. So, and there is a question about house hacking as well. Someone wants to know whether they can live in this 3-bedroom house, and they can live in the cottage rather, and rent out the multi-let. The minute a house has got a cottage, that means it already has permission from the council to have another outbuilding. What you need to do is to go to the council to see what the status of that house is. It will say whether this is a freestanding home, allowed for multi-let for so much, and the town engineer will actually tell you if you can build some more cottages. But that's not what we are talking about here. That's not a house hack yet. You are talking about how to develop extra cottages. You absolutely are within your rights, before you sign the offer to purchase, to go to the council or ask the very agent that is advertising that house to show you what status that house is at the municipality. Okay, Nkonzo, shall we do the next one?
Yes, let's go ahead. Also, this is something that was very popular with the people on Facebook. They wanted to know whether how does refinancing work. That was Bongs. William also wanted, and Bongani, they wanted to know whether is it wise to pay off their bonds. And someone else wanted to know how to minimize interest payments. So let's just talk about house hacking, refinancing, re-advance, and paying off bonds. Whether
I love the refinance model. I love the refinance model. Let me tell you, And every one of my things have got an example, because every one of us have, we actually have a situation like that. One of my mentees who has unfortunately lost her mom last February. Her mom was a factory worker, but who had managed to buy a house in one of the suburbs. I think it's Vosloorus, I might be wrong, Vosloorus or Tembisa, I can't remember which one. And you can imagine, she's a factory worker, she didn't have a mortgage, right? So she's got her mom's house, and mom had bought another flat, and all of them are paid up, and she's got her own primary house. And she was like, I don't know if I've got enough money. And she's looking into her bank accounts. How much do I need to even start a portfolio? And when she completed her first introductory interview with me, I'm like, this woman is sitting on gold. She doesn't even know that, right? She's got a house in Vosloorus, let's call it Vosloorus. She's got a flatlet, and she's got a primary house that she's got a mortgage on, right? So that Vosloorus house, that house in Soweto, that house in Davidton, guys, you are sitting on gold. Mom left you that house, or your folks left you that house. All you need to do is to get your estate agent, or get to your council, to your municipality, and see what they have evaluated it on. But the estate agents that sell in your area will tell you how much that house would be if it had to be sold, right? So let's say they evaluate it at 140,000. That means you are sitting on equity. What it means is, on a bank, literally you are sitting on a box of gold with 140,000 leverage that you can use. When you go to the bank, you say, I've got a house, here's the title deed. Here is the evaluation from my estate agent on this house. Can you borrow me 100,000? They will. They'll either give you the whole 140,000, or they can give you 100,000. And mina, usually, I used to think when we fight about Meimasehe's Elokshi, people are fighting over Meimasehe so that they can use that leverage. They don't. They just fight over the house. When the parents pass away, yeah, we say, Kaya, it's my mother's house, but we are fighting just to sit in that house and just to let it rot. Sometimes we even have our houses in the suburbs, but we let that house down. We don't rent it out. We don't share the rent with our siblings. We don't do anything. Can we do something meaningful? So here you are. Now you've re-evaluated the house. Now they tell you, okay, we'll borrow you 100,000 because that's what you qualify for, and that's what we think you can repay us. With 100,000, what can you do? With 100,000, you apply to the municipality, you build 3 bachelor units in that yard. You have got 3 rental bachelor units. You suddenly make 12,000 rents. Are you not in any position to help your other siblings? Are you in no position now to distribute and share the wealth that your parents have left you? That's all they had. They didn't have mortgages. They don't have a trust fund, but they at least left you a house. There's a Rockville. Can you use it wisely? That is how you refinance a house. That's one of the ways in a paid up house. Now, if I'm sitting in the suburbs at my house that is costing 2 million rent, and I've been paying for the past 15 years, I'm almost close to finishing, and I'm left with like 450,000 in the bond. In that house, the bank, you've got equity again. The bank can re-borrow you the 1.5 million that is sitting in that house. That is how you're going to start and scale your property journey. But when they borrow you that 1.5 million, I need to put in some things there that I want to tell you. They will borrow you the whole 1.5 million, or you go and sit with your banker and show them what you are wanting to do. Please don't borrow it and go and buy the next car. It is super expensive finance. When they borrow you, the interest rate is different from the one that you are paying from your primary bond. They open another bond, they register another bond at the deeds office. It's almost like you have 2 bonds now that you are paying for, and the interest rate is a little higher. It will be prime +2, prime +3 sometimes. I don't know what other people get. So it is refinance, and the condition is that you only use it to buy property. You can't go and buy the next BMW or your dream car. You can't go and buy some new fashion and put on new hair on your head. So that is the point of refinancing. And the reason why you hear people say they've got 100 units or 100 flats, if they are buying one at a time. If I buy a 600,000 unit today and I have deposited with 60,000, if I pay it for a year, the following year, I am able to go to the bank and borrow against the 600,000, because that 2-bedroom townhouse is not 600,000 anymore in a year's time. It will have appreciated. Sometimes they appreciate by, immensely. Some of them, they don't. In Midrand right now, we're not seeing good appreciation, but there are areas where you can find appreciation up to like 800,000 in just a year. And you can borrow 200,000 more to buy the next flat and the next flat and the next flat and the next flat. So your mortgage is your self-bank, actually. So let's use it cleverly. Pay your mortgage, be on time, pay ahead, so that you create equity. If you've got 100 rands more, put it in the bond. If you've got 200 rands more, put it in the bond. As you collect rent from the township property, put it in the bond, so that the following year you can borrow against that bond, and you can always check. And all you need to do is phone the bank. How much equity have I got in that bond? And they tell you 200,000. With 200,000, you can buy a 2 million rent property, guys. 200 million property. So shall we use refinance cleverly? Now, when you talk about paid up bonds until 2015, when I discovered that I may not be able to retire because I had my child late, and I am going to have to be saving for my retirement while I educate my child, right? I discovered that a paid up bond is not worth much. So should I pay up my bond? Indeed, pay up your bond if you can. But all I'm saying is that don't sit on a paid up bond when you could be creating more wealth with it. It depends. If you want to save and you want to pay up your bond and sit with it and then continue uyagwabasi uhambe uyosebenza and work hard. I'm saying there's another way of wealth creation, and there's another way of earning passively while you sleep without doing anything. Property is that place. And I am suggesting a paid up bond is a pot of gold. You can use it to buy a property. For instance, you can buy properties where you can passively, because not all of us, want to be in property actively like Miranda is. So you can buy into properties where you don't participate. Your participation is with capital, but every year, une bonus year Christmas that you know that you are going to get, and you can finance that holiday that you want to have. And how you do that, we are going to discuss those strategies right now. But as an example, you can put your money into a property stock bell, or you can borrow other people. Like there's someone who's doing a strategy of flipping. If they are looking for 100,000 and they are buying dilapidated houses and they need 100,000 to refurbish a house, you give them your 100,000, you sign contracts at the lawyers, your money is recorded somewhere, there is a trail, you can always go and get the money. So you borrow them your 100,000. What's nice is that your loan is registered against a property, an asset that can be sold in case that person goes bankrupt and they don't pay you. When that house is sold, you can get back your 100,000. But if things go well, hello, my dear.
Sorry, can I just interrupt you for a second? We are likely to be disconnected. We are approaching the 40th minute. So I just want to tell the people that have joined us, there's a number of people that have joined us in the last few minutes. If we get interrupted, if we get cut off, please just use the same login details to log in back to the call. So we're gonna
Okay.
just be disconnected and then we connect back in. So, but we're dependent on Zoom on this one.
Yeah.
Let's go ahead, and then if they disconnect us, we'll just log back in.
We'll just log back in again.
Yes.
All right. So that's one. That's. So if you are talking about a paid up mortgage, I love paid up mortgages. I wish I had one that is paid up right now, because I need cash. I need equity to go and buy the properties that are gonna go on sale post COVID-19. Yeah. So there's going to be a Black Friday, and I want R1 million that is just sitting there so that I can buy off everything on the table. I don't have a paid up mortgage. I'm not excited about a paid up mortgage because my mortgages have allowed me equity so that I can buy the next property and the next property. So that's where we are.
Yes.
Okay.
And just to add on what Mizo was saying, as investors, we love debt and we're not afraid of paying interest. So the people that are thinking about paying up their bonds, I would suggest that you first pay off your residence. Don't go to the investment properties, because investment properties, that's where you get tax deductions. We are going to cover all these concepts, not today, but in the future we're going to cover all of these things. Today we're just touching a bit. But what I'm saying is that you get interest on your investments, and then you can deduct the interest on your investment. So start with your residence, pay up your residence, pay up your car, pay up everything else, because the investment property is being paid off by your tenants, not by yourself. Thank you, Mizo, on that one. Let's move on and speak about other strategies that people can engage themselves in when they don't have a lot of money to start their property journey.
And I like what we've just spoken about here, refinance. So you are sitting in your house. Let's just peg that very nicely, Nkonzo. I want it to be packed nicely. So you are sitting in your residence right now. No?
Yes.
You've got your salary of, you're taking home your 20,000. You are paying the car 4,000. You are paying the school fees every month. It's 3,500. You are paying the bond faithfully. You are paying your 7,000 on the bond. There's groceries and there's gas to be paid. So can you see that you don't have extra income money, and everyone is talking about this property and you are getting excited, but you're like, but how am I even going to start this, right? Will the bank borrow me money? Which bank is going to borrow me money? Because Mina, by the 20th, I'm waiting for the 25th for my next salary. I'm saying to you, in that mortgage, you've got equity. Have you been paying for 5 years? Have you been regular? If you show the bank that you are going to buy an investment property that is going to cash flow, you are instantly qualifying for a second mortgage. You can absolutely, if you've got an extra 900,000 in that bond, don't go and borrow the whole 900,000. Go and look for an apartment to buy, or go and look for a 700,000 rent house to buy that has got 3 bedrooms that you are going to house hack and put 3 different tenants in there and fix it so that they stay, and you can borrow 300,000 or 400,000. Can you see how to use that mortgage? And I haven't asked you to go and borrow money from somewhere else, and you do not have to be making any money from somewhere else. That's what I'm talking about. And that's how you use your mortgage, and that's how you use please. You know, let's not be fighting about our parents' houses without actually using them as investment properties. Okay. Yes. Let's move on to the short-term rentals. I like this.
I love this part, because this one, it's gold, and it's something that we've all been ignoring, and it is money basically that one can just go and grab.
It's so easy. Can I just brag about the short-term rental a little bit? That we had a guest on our Property Magicians podcast. I can't remember whether it must have been episode number 6. Go find it on Podbean. The name of the young gentleman is Benedict. Yeah. He owns two homes in the Kensington area, and he Airbnbs them. I'm a little concerned about Airbnb right now during the COVID, but everything passes, guys. So he is almost 31, 32, and he is clear about his strategy. He only does short-term rentals. What does he do? He buys homes, and because he loves beautiful spaces, he makes the rooms look beautiful, and they become self-contained bachelor flats. And my co-host Vangile, when she was in South Africa, she lives in Asia somewhere, in Sri Lanka. When she was in South Africa, she went and stayed at that B&B, and she couldn't believe how beautiful this place is. It's right next to Eastgate. It is walking distance from the shops. The surroundings are just amazing, amazing. And he bumps up against the owner, a 31-year-old Benedict, and he's got like 7 rooms in this big, huge property in Kensington that he has turned into an Airbnb. And how much was she paying? 450, I think, per night, and she stayed there for 3 nights. So you can imagine having a tenant every day in room that has got a shower and a bathroom, and they come to, and they have a little kitchenette, and they are paying you 450 rand every day times 30. Go do the math. All you have to do is to keep the room fresh. All you have to do is to make sure that somebody comes and cleans that room. All you have to do is to get into Edgar's and buy white linen and keep it clean. And he himself, the owner, lives in one of the rooms. It's a house hack, short-term rental. You make quick money, people are in and out, in and out. And there are always people who are looking for a place to stay, which is not a hotel. I'm one of those. Don't like hotels. I don't like the long corridors. I don't like the smell in the rooms. And I don't like the fact that I can't open a door and stand on the balcony. I want to stand outside. So again, we make too much ado about privacy while we sit on gold. You are sitting in a home right now that has got 3 bedrooms. Are you utilizing all 3 of them? I wonder. There are unutilized rooms where you can do, and you can use short-term rentals. There is one child who goes to Monash University, which is down the road from my house. When she comes down from Cape Town, she can utilize one of our rooms, but because she's a friend's child, I don't make her pay. But she lives in a beautiful room, and my helper makes sure her room is nice and clean. And when she gets back in the evenings, there's always a meal. And in the morning when I make coffee, she always has a cup of coffee. Tell me if we can collect 300 rands every day. Can you start earning every single day rather than wait for the 25th of December? This for me is such an empowering thing to say, let's have a look at the things that we have, and we have very little as Black people, but we stay with the mentality, Yobuchitina, we have very little. It's just not necessary. Episode number 25, Property Magicians Podcast. This is my big brag. There is a lady called Majosephine. I don't even know her surname. I forgot her surname. I keep forgetting her surname. I think it's deliberate because she puts every one of us at shame.
Yes.
Me and Gonzo put together,
Yes.
I think our university degrees come to more than 23 years, right, Gonzo? Are you doing a master's? I have a master's too. She puts us to shame. She's got a student accommodation. She does.
I guess shivers as you start talking about her, because what she has done there is magic.
She flattens
From a domestic
everything.
worker.
For an ex-domestic worker, she is retired, guys. She is retired. Episode 25. Go find her. She's got a student accommodation downtown where the Vets Tech is in Bertrams. Student accommodation turns out 400,000 per month. Per month. Underline, bold, in italics, 400,000 per month. So from February to November, she's got students, right? And then in December, beginning of December, when the teachers come from all the provinces and they are coming to mark student scripts, she has about 71 teachers that stay at her accommodation from the 1st of December up to the 15th of December when they go back to wherever they came from. She gets paid by the Department of Education. She makes another 100,000 in less than 14 days, right? And then she's got masters and postdoctoral students who study, and some of them come from our African neighbors, Lesotho, Zambia, Zwalo, and Zimbabwe. They live there over the holidays because they are finishing off their thesis. She continues to collect rent, NSFAS or not. And then there are backpackers who come. Some people want the ruggedness of living right downtown where everything happens. They want the meat of Johannesburg and they want to be there. That's where some backpackers stay. So she is constantly busy. She constantly has got residents. You tell me, Black Child, if you can't, are you telling me seriously the place that you live in, Etafontein somewhere, in Vosloorus somewhere, you cannot have that and earn every single day in that extra room? I challenge you today to look around, look at the residence that you're living in. Again, have I asked you about your bank account, which is 100,000 to start a business portfolio, a property portfolio? I haven't. All I'm asking you to do is get creative with the space that you live in. Shall we do the next one, Gonzo?
Yes, I told them that it was going to be an awakening, a rude awakening for all of us.
You did. You did.
So there you go. If you don't have,
there you go.
If you don't have a lot of money, you can still get involved.
Let's do that. Let's do that. And I think
talk about property stokvels and clubbing and passive income.
Oh, please. Oh, please. We are bonake, eh? I believe in my township, Soweto Corner, abantu who have got a stokvel, say whiskey bagit. You know, whiskey. Yeah, Glenfiddich and all the other stuff that I don't know, whose names I do not know. But anyway, I grew up with aunts and mothers who still up to today are in stokvels. Do you know what they stokvel about? They buy flat screen TVs. One wanted a washing machine. I remember the stokvel, Yabo Mama, used to come in January or February. It was staggered because my sister and I were at university at the same time. So she would have a bulk of money at least to send us off to university. Is it a new principle into your stokvel?
No.
I'm saying it's not.
No.
But what is good about a property stokvel is now we've got an asset. The asset continues to give us money. I was in a high-end stokvel, guys. I have to confess, right? Where I used to pay 2,000 a month on one, and then the other one I used to pay 1.5. What did we do? Well, on ours, it used to come in December, and what I would do is pay off the school fees of my daughter, and that gave me 10% off on the school fees. But in all that time, my mentality thought, I need to wait until I save enough money. I don't even know what enough money means to start a property portfolio. If someone had told me this when I was 27, I would be having 700 properties by now. So I'm saying our role models, they know what they know. There's nothing wrong with them. They know what they know. But I'm just sharing that. Can we move the paradigm of stokvel towards something that gives us an asset that perpetually gives, and it gives us some money, and we can have some money while we sleep? How about our stokvel that used to have, Utepo would bear me out if he was listening. There was a time when Nedbank was pursuing our stokvel because at the end of November in that year, we had 603,000 in the bank. Do I kick myself every time? This is like 2010. We could have bought how many apartments? A 600,000 would have gotten us in Gonzo. If I was buying a downtown building, yes. I would have deposited 2 or 3 buildings that are multi-use, flats on top, commercial space at the bottom, where would we be today? Because we would be having perpetual rent. We would be, even if 10 tenants do not pay because of COVID-19, the commercial spaces that are open at the bottom would still have rent. Like, can the stokvel be used for us? So anyway, who uses a stokvel? Why use a stokvel? Now you have got Miranda, who has become bolder in the property space. You have got me, you've got Nkonzo, who has worked through his doubts and fears and uncertainties about property. He knows for a fact that a property, well-placed, cash flowing from day one, will work. Not all of us are going to buy properties because we haven't traveled that emotional distance. Or you are a single mom like myself, and you wake up every day, you work 12 hours in my corporate job. I used to leave home 7 o'clock, come back at 7 p.m., no time for homework, but you've got a little extra cash in the bank. Let somebody else invest on your behalf in a property stokvel. Your money is safe there. They are tangible assets. Your money is recorded and tracked, because some of them use an app to track your money. You start earning interest of no less than 10%, guys. No less than 10%. Not even our beautiful Capitec can give you that. If you keep your money in the bank, you earn at the most 3.54% in a savings account. At Capitec, we get something like 5.5. I love them. And then somebody comes and sells you an endowment policy, which now with COVID-19 has been hit 35% off in property. Even if it gets hit 35% off, it's going to recover. It's going to get back in there, and you are going to perpetually get your interest rate. Who else uses a property stokvel? Let's say, for whatever reason, you started like me. You know, I was in private practice, and then I went and worked somewhere else. And along the way, you collect debt that you can repay, you are blacklisted and whatever. But now you are starting to get on track, back on track. You've got 50,000 that is stashed away somewhere, and it's just making over 6% interest rate. Bring it to a property stokvel. Let's show you how you're going to get 15% and 17%. Thank me later. Okay, I've got people who are in the African diaspora, friends who are all over the place, right? Some of them are in Canada, some of them are in the Middle East, some of them are in the US. They've got extra dollars with them. They have come here, put their money in a property stokvel, and because the rand is 19 rands to the dollar now, they can invest even more. One of them, who is in Saudi Arabia, he is very excited about the fact that our rent is so low, because he can put up some more. You can put in 50,000 at a time. But let me talk about our reality. You are a small entrepreneur. The least that you have, if you say you have got an extra, instead of buying the next bottle of wine or whiskey, you've got 2,000 rands, you don't know what to do with it. Bring it here. Do you know Slindile of Sakisizo? Bring it here. Put it in Sakisizo. 2,000 per month. On 1 month, if you've got 5,000, you buy for 5,000. How do property stokvels work? Let's talk about that. They partner up with contractors, or they partner.
Did we lose Mizo? Daba. Hello.